Travis, turn around. The coordinate graphing should be at the top. So what do you remember about coordinate graphing? This is review since you had it in 5th grade. Huh?
Is it like the x-axis?
X-axis, what else?
Y-axis.
The y-axis.
Put the dot.
Okay, so we have the 2 points that we'll have to graph. What is that called when we have the points to graph?
You point them?
There's a special name for it. Begins with an O. What was it?
Organized.
Not organized.
Origami.
There's coordinates, but what else? No. Ordered pairs. So, ordered pair would be your X and Y. So when you think of an ordered pair, think of it as an address. It's telling you where to go. You all have an address on your house that tells the mailman where to deliver the mail. The ordered pair tells us where to go on the coordinate graph. Okay? So the first number in your ordered pair is known as the X value. So if X is positive, you're going to go right. If X is negative, you go left. So your first number determines if you go right or left. Right is positive, left is negative. Your second number is your Y value. If that is positive, then you go up. If it's negative, you go down. You never plot your point until you've done both. So you either have to go right or left or up and down, then plot your point. So on a coordinate graph, they're divided into 4 sections, which we call those 4 sections quadrants. When we label quadrants, we label them with Roman numerals. I know you've all seen Roman numerals. You probably have not been able to read them before. So starting up in the top right is quadrant 1. It looks like an I. Then we go left and we get quadrant 2 in the top. Quadrant 3 is below quadrant 2. And then quadrant 4 looks like an I with a V, because a V is 5 in Roman numerals. The one before means 1 before 5 would be 4. The center of the graph is what we call the origin. Think of origin meaning the beginning. It's where you're always going to start from. It's your reset point. Every time you're given a new point to graph, you always start at the origin to graph. Okay? So the nice thing with coordinate graphing, you can kind of look at it when you're given a point to figure out the general area of where it should be. So if I'm looking at quadrant 1, I would go right, then up. So what should my values be in that? If I'm going right, then up.
Positive.
They're both positives, right? Because right is a positive, up is positive. So when I'm given two positive numbers, I know it's going to end up in this quadrant. So quadrant 2, I have to go left, then up. So what's it going to be? Negative, positive. So if my first number is negative, my second number is positive, I'm going to end up in this quadrant. What about quadrant 3?
Negative.
Negative, negative, because I go left and then down. So if I'm given two negative numbers, then I'm going to end up in quadrant 3. What about quadrant 4?
Positive, negative.
Positive, negative. Good. So before you even graph your ordered pair, you want to look at it and say, okay, what quadrant should I end up in? Okay, think about it before you plot it. This is review, so it shouldn't be hard. Take that extra step, though, to make sure you're doing it correctly, because we're going to really start focusing on the graphing coming up for solving equations. And if you can't just graph an ordered pair, then you're not going to be able to graph your equations. Okay, so we really want to focus on this. Questions so far? Okay, so let's practice graphing some points. So I want you to draw your XY axis, and I want 5 in every direction. So when you number your graph, you always start from the middle and work out. So if I'm starting at the middle and I'm going right, those are all going to be positive numbers. So I'm going 1 through 5. From the middle to the left, they're negatives. So always start in the middle and work out. So going up will be positive, down is negative. So let's start with graphing point A. And let's say A is at negative 5, 3. So before I graph, I want to look, what are my numbers? So I have a negative and a positive. So which quadrant should it end up in? Should be in quadrant 2. So I'm looking in this area right here for when I graph. So if I get a point that ends up over here, I did something wrong. Okay? So negative 5, I'm starting at the origin. Which direction do I go first?
Negative 5.
Which direction?
Oh,
Left. So remember, look at the top. Negative first number, you go left. So I'm going left 5. Then what? Up 3. Notice you don't place the point until you do both numbers. And then we label it as point A. So we said it should be in quadrant 2. We ended in quadrant 2, so we're good. Let's look at point B. And point B is at 2, negative 1. So I have a positive and a negative. Where should I end up? What quadrant? Should end up in quadrant 4. So positive 2 tells me to do what? Go right 2, then what? Down 1. So I should end up right there, and that is point B. Make sure you're going right or left first, then up or down. Point C is at 0, 4. So this one, they're both positive, but I have that 0 in it. So when I have a 0, it's not going to end up in a quadrant. Okay? So the first number is 0, so I start at my origin, and it's telling me don't move right or left. It's a 0. telling me to stay there, but then I need to go up 4, so I'm going to be on what we call the y-axis. So that up and down to the vertical line is called the y-axis. So that would be point C at 0, 4. Point D we want to look at negative 2, 0. So I'm starting at the origin. Negative 2 is telling me what? To the left, and then I have a 0, so stay there. So that's point D. That is what we call the x-axis. So the horizontal line is the x-axis, the vertical line is your y-axis. So on your assignment today, you will have part of problems that you will have to graph like this, but then you will have some that you have to identify the ordered pair. So they would give you just the graph, you need to come up with the ordered pair for it. So you're going to have to work backwards on it. Okay? Go ahead and flip to page 4, fill out your table of contents.